Jesus.
Well, hello there. Tony and Steve, Little Wars TV. We are here at Historicon 2022.
So yeah, it's the first time we're back here in Lancaster at the convention center in a few years now, and it's great to be back. This facility is as great as I remember it being from back in 2019, which is the last time we were here. Some of the games are looking really, really impressive. The crowd seems to be enthusiastic. It's only Saturday morning right now, so we're expecting a lot more people to show up today. But are there any highlights or anything that you've had a chance to take a look at or participate in?
Already we've seen a lot of beautiful games. The dealer hall is full of vendors with lots of good stuff. We saw the Burnside's Bridge game, which was really nice. There's so much to see here.
Yeah, and it's what Historicon, is known for. It's for events like this where there's a fantastic number of games, and that Burnside's Bridge game is absolutely gorgeous. I also was in the dealer hall, already did some shopping. That's one of the great things about coming to one of these conventions. Picked up a copy courtesy of Firelock Games of their new rule set, Blood and Steel. Now, and speaking of Firelock Games, down at their area in the vendor hall, they've got a beautiful World War I trench board, absolutely fantastic. They're running demo games on it from their Blood and Valor rule set. So that is a group of guys that are putting out some really good rule sets and really know how to put together a great looking table.
There's some stuff that I want to get a look at and want to try. I'm interested in maybe some African stuff, both colonial and more modern African warfare. It's something we've talked about doing at the club, so I'm going to explore some rules options, look at some games. I saw some games earlier focused on events in modern Africa, so I'm going to check those out. I'm going to go down to the dealer hall and look for yet another project that I'll probably never paint.
I'm actually shortly going to be in one of those games where I'm kind of hoping that I get to take over the role of the president that people are trying to assassinate. That kind of seems like
it's a role you were born for,
Steve. It's the role I was born to play. That's from First Command War Games, so I'm really looking forward to that, and I'll let you know how it turns out.
Welcome back to Historicon 2022. Earlier this morning, we checked in with Tony and Steve, and at that time, Steve, you were about to go and play a pretty interesting game. How did that turn out?
It was a heck of a lot of fun. First Command War Games, To Kill a President, their Insurgency Wars, or Wars of Insurgency is a rule set. I actually had the privilege of playing the president
El Jefe.
that everybody was trying to kill. Well, maybe not everybody, but most of the people were trying to kill. So it was great running around a third world country in my up-armored German-made SUV. And I did manage to survive to the end, but it was chaotic, it was fast, it was bloody. It was perfect for my mood here today.
Any other highlights when you were walking around after the game?
Walking around, this morning I talked about in the intro about the Burnside's Bridge. That was beautiful. Actually, I'm like the same place today, so Burnside's Bridge was gone, replaced by an equally spectacular game, which was Ravenna. I'm not sure exactly how that's pronounced, but the 28mm, huge pipe blocks, cavalry, all of the colors, the flags. It's exactly the type of thing that really shows off what's great about this hobby.
It is, and I don't know if this is anecdotal or what, but I do feel like the quality of games at this convention was higher than normal. There were a lot of really spectacular games in multiple scales, and one of the comments that we had all made at the end of the day today was that it seemed like some of the best games were tucked away in unusual spaces in like Bruce's Malta game, which you guys saw the Malta episode that we did last week. I mean, he was here with that amazing table, and people were coming up to us at the show saying, hey, was Bruce's game canceled? Because they couldn't even find it. It was in the back corner of a room tucked behind Commonwealth, and I feel like so many of the showpiece games should have been showed off.
Well, it's interesting because this is such a great venue and everything is so close together. And I think the reason that they put some of the dividers up was to cut down on noise and things like that, which is a laudable goal.
That helped.
And it certainly did. But because of the way the dividers work in this particular venue, it's very easy to hide away a room that might be filled with spectacular games like Bruce's.
Right.
But unfortunately takes it away from people who might just be stopping by for the day to see what this hobby is about, and they just have no opportunity to randomly run across it.
Yeah, now to be clear, this venue is far superior. Far superior.
We're having a great time. A great time.
Yeah, this.
Yeah.
No complaints about the venue. Some complaints about maybe a lack of signage pointing to some of the places where people.
Something will improve next year, but it's a great place to be.
Yeah. Now, Tom, you were in a very central location for quite a few games.
Right. That's right. I'm privileged to be able to sit in the Little Wars area.
That was a great story. Yes.
It is. It is.
Yes.
I love those guys. But I ran the Trenton game 3 times, once yesterday, twice today, and the greatest thing about it is the players. We really had a great set of players.
Yeah.
People watched the channel, people saw the Christmas special, and they wanted to try out the rules. They wanted to see 10mm Pendragon, and made a lot of friends there, and really a lot of great players, good sportsmanship all over.
Yeah, and you actually had a lot of young players at your game, including some kids.
I did. We had, in each game, we had one of our junior players,
Right.
Eric, and then Zach, and they brought a lot of great playing to the game, really. They were aggressive in the right spots, they knew the rules, and they really, I think, jazzed up the whole experience for everybody. Everybody enjoyed it.
I was on the Hessian side. We managed to hold off the rebel scum. We had actually all of our Hessian reinforcements come in, none of the British. But I was actually really confused for a minute because I saw Sergeant's brigade come in. I'm like, wait a minute, are those British? And then I looked closer and then I saw they were brown, and then I was like, oh, well, I'm gonna die. Somehow I didn't, and we lasted and made it a draw.
So Josh did the Battle of Salerno in 3mm.
Yeah, Pico armor.
And the battle basically played out over the convention, with each game building on the next. And in the end, he ended up winning an award for that game.
Miles ran a couple sessions of the Battle of Manzikert in 10mm. I ran one session of the Battle of Heraclea from the Pyrrhic Wars because, of course, next week we're going to begin our version of the Pyrrhic Wars on the channel. So
I told you it was going to happen eventually.
and right next to where we were running games at Little Wars TV, Mark's Game Room was running some awesome games as well.
I was going to tell you all about the games in Mark's game room, but as I look over here, Mark is standing right there. So why don't we let Mark tell you about all the cool stuff that they did?
Come on, get in here.
Hey, how's it going, everyone? Yeah, hold on my loop from the dealer.
What is all that stuff that you have there, Mark?
No, stuff I don't need for my basement. We had a great time. It was really awesome. We met a lot of cool people from actually around the world.
Yeah.
That came to see our games, which was super exciting, you know? All right, so one of my favorite games here at the convention was I played Clash of Katanas, which is brand new. I just got the Kickstarter PDF of it. And here's what's really great about the convention. I not only played it to learn the game, I played it with the game designer. So sitting down, you know you're getting the right rules. It was really fun. I played it with Steve from Little Wars TV. It was just a pickup game, like 3 units on 3 units, but when it was done we had so much fun we couldn't wait to get home and break it out and try it. So stay tuned, because I'm going to do a video how to play Clash of Katanas with some of the greatest samurai figures in Northern Virginia.
A couple of games that I saw that really impressed me, and both run by the same GM. There was a Dead Man's Hand game, which for those of you familiar is a Wild West game. The table was spectacular. It was foreground miniature buildings, but he had super detailed them. And when I say super, I mean to the point that in the bar, the poker tables had cards and poker chips on them. It was insane. You could have stared at that board for an hour and not seen everything that there was to see. It was a gorgeous game, just one of those things that you look at and you're like, wow, I wish I could do that. The other game that he ran was the Chicago Way, which is a gangster skirmish game. Not only was that done to the same level of detail, there was a water meter on the backside of a building. Who does that? His way of handling casualties and wounds, all the figures were based on clear bases, which I thought was really clever. They blend in no matter what terrain they're on. But for wounded figures, to indicate the level of wound, he had blood spatters on little clear bases that he placed next to the figure, and the bigger the blood spatter, the more wounded the figure was. And it just added a certain level of, you looked at that guy laying on the ground and, oh, he's in trouble. The whole thing was visually just, it was a lot to take in, and he put a lot of effort into it, and it made the game seem super cool and very real, and got you into the period, into the genre.
All right, so we already talked about the Battle of Ravenna 1512 game, which was an awesome Renaissance game in 28mm that all the guys thought was very impressive. But there were a number of really cool-looking medieval tables here. There was a Siege that I thought was really awesome. Also in 28mm, it's like this, I don't know, at least 16-foot long table. There were tons of players around that game, and you could just tell that everybody was having a really great time. A lot of detail on that table. There was another medieval table that I thought was interesting. It was one of the very few 54mm games here. Attack of the Black Prince using Pig Wars. 54mm is one of those scales that people ask us about a lot on the channel, but that we really have never done in the club. So it was kind of fun to see the big figures. They were painted really well. Just another impressive table.
One of the great things about coming to a convention like this is that you get to see games that honestly you wouldn't be able to do at your house. And you know, we mentioned Malta, which is Bruce's game, which is something that is just amazing. But there's another one that I was just blown away when I saw it, and it was Have Gun Will Travel. Now, it's a little bit before my time. Can't say I've ever watched the show. But these two guys put together a game that was literally like you were in the TV show.
Hi, I'm Doug Fisher.
I'm Rich.
Yeah, we run the Wild West games, Have Gun Will Travel and the Battle of New Ulm. Have Gun Will Travel is a bounty hunter game.
The neat thing about the Western game is, aside from the 5 tables, you really don't have to be serious, because the idea is to intermingle with Rosa and the sheriff and everybody else in the town, and then somewhere along the line you get to kill somebody and take them back to jail. What's more fun than that at the end of the day?
Yeah, we integrate the board game into the original game. You pick the bounty outlaw, you move to the town. When you get to the town, we pick you up and put you in the actual miniature town, and now you have to find your outlaw. So we can mess around, we can have fun telling you where to go and where to be. Everybody is after outlaws, so all the contestants really are having fun. There's nobody winning or losing on either side. First one to get 2 outlaws, get back to the board and finish it out like it normally does, wins the whole game. So.
Really and truly, at the end of the day, if you look at what Doug has built, it's beautiful terrain. And like I tell everybody all the time, I'm the lucky one. I get to play with his toys.
We gotta keep up with Little Wars, I'm telling you.
I just get to play with the toys.
It does take game masters running games in order to put this on, and I think we spend a lot of time talking about the great games and maybe not enough time talking about all the people who volunteer to come and work at the show to make it possible.
Right, yeah. I mean, everyone who does, like you said, the awards are volunteers, and it's kind of a thankless job.
It is.
You know,
Yeah.
but we appreciate that they do it.
It's actually our first convention
Ever.
Yeah, so we just kind of jumped in feet first. So yeah, this is,
Yeah.
we just kind of decided to do it all. So
Yeah, we volunteered 20 hours, and Brenda worked with us to allow us to get into, me to play a few games.
right, the games you wanted to play.
In fact, it kind of got you excited about sharp practice.
If I'm being honest, I kind of planned on not sticking around for the entirety of the game, because it's not necessarily my hobby. But I got sucked in, and I ended up staying the whole night, and it was really cool. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to being more involved, even if he's the one playing. I'm not sure I'm ready to jump in yet, but I'm getting there. So I kind of came as a supportive girlfriend, but I've been really enjoying my time here. Honestly, the people we've met have all been incredibly down to earth and just genuinely wonderful people.
Yeah, so we've been working the registration desk, and we're really excited about being a more active part of HMGS and Historicon
Yeah,
in
definitely.
the future.
We've
And,
enjoyed our time.
and I think the conference could use the help for sure. So even if
definitely.
even if you could do 5 hours, that would be a tremendous help
Yeah,
to
never
everyone.
enough hands.
All right, hello, I'm Bill Molyneux, and
I'm Jim McWee.
and we are judging games today. And what we're looking for is participation along with presentation, your figures, your terrain, and also how many people are playing. You could have a wonderful looking game and 1 or 2 players. So also, are people having fun? That's what we're all here for, is fun. What do you think,
Definitely.
Jim?
It's exactly what I look for, is the aesthetics of the game drawing me over first, and then if players are having fun. That's what I'm looking for, is energetic tables and just people having a good time.
You know, I like to mention, you know, sometimes you have the mega massive game, but there could be a small game with just 6 players playing on a 6x4, and that could actually win an award compared to something that's 12 feet, 20 feet long.
Right.
It's not necessarily the size of the game all the time.
Yep.
All right, guys, now that Historicon 2022 is officially in the books, how do we think it went?
It was a great convention. The site is wonderful. There's all kind of stuff to see and do and eat around the site. The games were beautiful. The vendor hall had lots of good stuff. I can't wait to come back here next summer.
And Historicon, as always, is great, but I'm looking forward to the next conventions.
Yes.
There's always one over the horizon. The next conventions that are coming up, we've got Barrage, which is in Havre de Grace, Maryland.
Run by the Hawks.
That's going to be in late September. And then not too soon after that, in November, we've got Fallen, run by the HMGS. So I'm looking forward to all that.
Yes, I'm sure we'll have guys who are going to be at both of those shows. Leave us a message in the comments below if you're planning to attend that, or if you attended Historicon 2022 and had a favorite game here. We want to give one final shout out to War Games, Soldiers, and Strategy magazine. They are kicking off the Great Wargaming Survey. First week of August, so it's right around the corner. Last year they had over 12,000 respondents to that survey. We're hoping that we can help break the record this year. We'll put a link in the description below so that you can go and fill out the survey. It only takes a couple of minutes.
Until next time, we'll see you soon.